a millionaire influencer with 10 million followers, is now under house arrest, facing life in prison for crimes that span an entire decade. And the evidence might shock you more than his online persona ever did. Andrew Tate built his empire by teaching men how to be alpha and get rich quick. But behind the luxury cars and mansion parties, prosecutors say he was running something far darker. A criminal organization that destroyed dozens of lives using a manipulation technique so effective, it has its own name. What started as a webcam business became what authorities call one of the most sophisticated trafficking operations in Europe. And the victims? They thought they were his girlfriends. This is the untold story of how the self-proclaimed Top G became the world's most wanted influencer. Andrew Tate wasn't always a controversial figure. Born in Washington, D.C. in 1986, he spent his early years moving between America and England with his mother after his parents divorced. His father, Andrew Tate, was a chess master and military veteran who instilled in young Andrew a competitive mindset that would later define his entire life. But it was kickboxing that first put Tate on the map. By his early 20s, he was winning world championships, building a reputation as one of the best light heavyweight fighters in the world. He had discipline, skill, and the kind of confidence that made him magnetic to others. However, fighting didn't make him rich enough for his growing ambitions. The prize money was decent, but Tate had bigger dreams. He wanted the kind of wealth that would make him untouchable, the kind of power that would make him feared and respected in equal measure. In 2009, Tate made his first appearance on British television, competing on Big Brother UK. His stay was short-lived. He was removed from the house after explicit videos of him emerged online. But this controversy taught him something crucial. Negative attention could be just as valuable as positive attention, sometimes even more so. After his kickboxing career wound down around 2014, Tate faced a crossroads. He could return to a normal life, maybe become a trainer or coach. Instead, he chose a path that would eventually lead him to international_infamy_. Tate moved to Romania, claiming he preferred the country because of what he called more relaxed attitudes toward male-female relationships. What he really found there was a legal system he believed he could navigate more easily, and a location where he thought he could operate his growing business ventures with less scrutiny. In 2014, while living in Romania, Tate started what he called a webcam studio. But this wasn't just any business venture. From the very beginning, he openly bragged about his methods for recruiting and managing the women who worked for him, claiming he could make them fall in love with him and then convince them to earn money online. Here's where the story takes its first dark turn. Prosecutors say Tate was using something called the loverboy method. This isn't just a casual dating technique. It's a recognized trafficking strategy used by criminal organizations worldwide, and it's devastatingly effective. The loverboy method works in carefully orchestrated stages. First, you identify and target vulnerable women, often young, often struggling financially, often dealing with emotional trauma or family problems. These aren't random selections. Traffickers specifically look for women who are isolated, in need of financial support, or seeking emotional connection. Then comes the _romance phase. You shower these women with attention, expensive gifts, and promises of a better life. You take them to nice restaurants, buy them designer clothes, introduce them to a lifestyle they've never experienced. Most importantly, you make them believe they're in a genuine romantic relationship with someone who truly cares about them, someone who sees their potential when no one else does. But here's the psychological twist that makes this method so effective. You gradually introduce problems into the relationship that require the woman's help to solve. Maybe you have sudden financial difficulties. Maybe you have enemies who are threatening your business. Maybe you need her to help you in ways that initially seem temporary and voluntary. The transition happens so slowly that victims don't realize what's happening until they're already trapped. What starts as helping a boyfriend in a tough situation becomes a daily routine, then a requirement, then a threat-enforced obligation. One victim's story reveals just how sophisticated Tate's operation had become. She was 19 when she first encountered him through social media. Like many young women her age, she was impressed by his luxury lifestyle, his confidence, and the attention he was paying to her specifically. Tate flew her to Romania, showing her his compound in Bucharest with its expensive cars, luxury furnishings, and the promise of a life she had only seen in movies. He told her she was special, different from other women he had met. He made her feel chosen, selected for something greater than her previous life. Within weeks, she was living with him, isolated from her friends and family back home. Tate had convinced her that her old life was holding her back, that the people who cared about her didn't understand her potential the way he did. At first, she thought working for his webcam business was her own choice. Tate had convinced her that working online was empowering, that she was in control of her own destiny, that she was building something together with someone who loved her. He framed it as a temporary situation, just until they could get established, just until they could build their empire together. But gradually, almost imperceptibly, the rules began to change. She had to work longer hours to meet daily quotas. She had to follow strict schedules that left little time for rest or personal activities. She had to give him all her earnings because, as he explained, he was better at managing money and investing for their future together. When she tried to reduce her hours or take breaks, Tate became controlling and manipulative. He would accuse her of not caring about their relationship, of being selfish, of not understanding the sacrifices he was making for her. He would threaten to send her back to her old life, reminding her of how miserable she had been before meeting him. The psychological manipulation was so complete, so professionally executed, that she didn't even recognize she was a victim until years after she had escaped. Even then, she struggled with feelings of guilt and confusion about her experience. But this wasn't an isolated incident. Prosecutors say Tate's operation was systematically targeting and exploiting vulnerable women, using these exact same methods, refined and perfected over years of practice. By 2018, Tate's business model was expanding rapidly. He wasn't just running a webcam operation anymore. He was building what prosecutors would later call the Tate Enterprise, a network of businesses and operations that generated millions of dollars while allegedly destroying dozens of lives in the process. Tate began documenting and promoting his methods online, creating courses and content that taught other men his approaches to relationships and business. He called it masculine self-improvement, but investigators say it was actually a blueprint for manipulation and exploitation. His social media presence exploded during the COVID-19 pandemic. While people were stuck at home, consuming more online content than ever before, Tate's message of wealth, power, and masculine dominance resonated with millions of young men who felt powerless and directionless. He started Hustlers University, an online course claiming to teach students how to make money through various methods including copywriting, cryptocurrency trading, and affiliate marketing. But prosecutors say this platform also served another purpose: identifying potential recruits for his various operations and spreading his ideology to a broader audience. By 2022, Tate had become one of the most influential figures on social media platforms like TikTok and Instagram. His videos were being viewed hundreds of millions of times, his follower count was climbing toward 10 million, and his influence over young men was becoming a global phenomenon. But behind this growing fame, prosecutors say his criminal enterprise was expanding as well. The webcam business that started with a few women had allegedly become a sophisticated trafficking operation involving multiple countries, complex financial structures, and a network of associates helping to identify and recruit new victims. Here's the shocking twist that would eventually bring everything crashing down. Tate couldn't resist boasting about his methods. He constantly bragged online about his approaches to controlling women, making videos explaining how to manipulate female psychology, how to make women financially dependent, how to maintain power in relationships. In one leaked audio recording, Tate allegedly described his business model in explicit detail. "My job was to meet a girl, go on a few dates, sleep with her, get her to fall in love with me to the point where she'd do anything I'd say, and then get her on webcam so we could become rich together." This wasn't just locker room talk or internet bravado. Investigators say this was evidence of a deliberate criminal conspiracy, a confession of the methods he was using to exploit vulnerable women. Another leaked conversation allegedly showed Tate discussing how he selected victims. "I look for girls who are broke, who have problems, who need help. These girls are grateful, they're loyal, and they'll do anything for someone who shows them a better life." These recordings, along with financial documents and victim testimonies, would later become crucial evidence in building the criminal case against him. The first major crack in Tate's empire appeared in April 2022, when an American woman contacted the U.S. Embassy in Romania with a disturbing claim. She alleged that she was being held against her will at Tate's compound in Bucharest, forced to work in conditions she couldn't escape from. Romanian police conducted their first raid on Tate's properties, but they didn't find sufficient evidence at the time to make arrests. The investigation was just beginning, but this initial complaint had put Tate on law enforcement's radar in a serious way. What Tate didn't realize was that Romanian prosecutors were already building a much larger case against him. They had been quietly gathering evidence for months, interviewing victims, analyzing financial records, and mapping out what they believed was an extensive criminal network. The investigators discovered that Tate's operation was far more sophisticated than a simple webcam business. They found evidence of complex financial structures designed to hide profits, international money transfers, and a systematic approach to recruiting and controlling women that matched established patterns of human trafficking. But Tate made what would prove to be a fatal mistake in December 2022. He got into a public Twitter argument with climate activist Greta Thunberg, responding to her criticism of his lifestyle with a video that inadvertently revealed his location. In his response video, pizza boxes from Jerry's Pizza, a Romanian chain, were clearly visible in the background. Romanian authorities, who had been tracking his movements as part of their ongoing investigation, used this information to confirm his exact location and coordinate their arrest operation. The timing wasn't coincidental. Prosecutors had been waiting for the right moment to move, gathering evidence and preparing their case. The Twitter controversy simply provided them with the opportunity they needed to execute their arrest warrants. On December 29, 2022, Romanian police moved in. They arrested Tate, his brother Tristan, and 2 Romanian associates, seizing luxury vehicles, cash, and electronic devices from multiple properties. The raid was swift and coordinated, suggesting months of careful planning. When police searched Tate's compound, they found evidence that prosecutors say supported everything the victims had been reporting. Financial records showing the movement of millions of dollars, communication devices containing explicit conversations about the webcam operation, and most importantly, documented proof of the systematic recruitment and control of vulnerable women. The initial charges were serious enough: human trafficking, forming an organized criminal group, and money laundering. But as the investigation continued, the scope of the alleged crimes became even more shocking. In August 2024, Romanian authorities expanded their case against Tate with completely new charges that sent shockwaves through his remaining supporters. This time, the allegations included trafficking of minors and inappropriate contact with minors, suggesting that his alleged criminal activities had extended to victims under the age of 18. These new charges revealed that the investigation now involved 35 alleged victims, with crimes allegedly dating back to 2014, a full decade of systematic criminal activity. The financial scope had also expanded, with prosecutors claiming the operation generated over $2.8 million in illegal profits. One of the most disturbing aspects of the expanded charges was how they revealed the true extent of Tate's alleged network. What had appeared to be a relatively localized operation was actually an international criminal enterprise with connections across multiple countries. Prosecutors presented evidence showing that Tate had used his legitimate businesses, including his social media presence, online courses, and various investment ventures, to fund and facilitate his alleged criminal activities. The line between his public persona and his alleged criminal enterprise had been deliberately blurred to provide cover for illegal operations. The psychological impact on victims, according to court documents, had been devastating and long-lasting. Many victims didn't realize they had been trafficked until years after escaping Tate's control. The manipulation had been so sophisticated, so professionally executed, that victims often continued to defend Tate even after being removed from his influence. Court documents revealed victim testimonies describing a systematic approach to psychological control that went far beyond simple coercion. Victims described being isolated from friends and family, having their communication monitored, being subjected to psychological punishment for disobedience, and being made financially dependent to prevent escape. One particularly disturbing element of the case involved Tate's use of his social media influence to normalize his behavior and recruit new victims. Prosecutors alleged that he used his platforms not just to spread his ideology, but to identify vulnerable women who might be suitable targets for his operation. His online content, which millions of young men consumed as motivational material, allegedly served a dual purpose as recruitment advertising and psychological conditioning for both potential victims and potential accomplices. The case has become landmark in international trafficking prosecutions because of how it demonstrates the modern evolution of these crimes. Traditional trafficking operations relied on physical force and geographic isolation. Tate's alleged operation used psychological manipulation, social media influence, and financial control to achieve the same results in the digital age. Current legal proceedings show just how extensive this alleged criminal network was. Prosecutors have presented evidence spanning multiple countries, involving complex cryptocurrency transactions to hide profits, and demonstrating a pattern of behavior that allegedly continued uninterrupted for over a decade. The financial investigation alone has uncovered a web of shell companies, offshore accounts, and cryptocurrency wallets that investigators say were used to launder millions of dollars in proceeds from the alleged trafficking operation. As of 2024, Tate remains under house arrest in Romania, while facing charges that could result in multiple life sentences. He continues to maintain his innocence, claiming through his legal team that the charges are part of an international conspiracy to silence his message and destroy his influence. His defense strategy appears to focus on characterizing his relationships with alleged victims as consensual adult arrangements, arguing that his business operations were legitimate, and claiming that his online statements were entertainment rather than evidence of criminal activity. But prosecutors say the evidence tells a very different story. Court documents reveal what they describe as a systematic operation designed to identify, manipulate, and exploit vulnerable women over many years. What Tate characterized as business relationships and romantic partnerships, prosecutors characterize as human trafficking and organized crime. The case has had far-reaching implications beyond Tate himself. Social media platforms have restricted or banned his accounts, his online courses have been shut down, and his influence over young men has been significantly diminished. Several of his associates have also been charged with related crimes. For the victims, the legal process represents both an opportunity for justice and a continuation of their trauma. Many have had to testify about deeply personal experiences, relive their victimization in court, and face cross-examination designed to challenge their credibility and memory. Some victims have chosen to speak publicly about their experiences, hoping to prevent other women from falling into similar traps and to educate the public about the sophisticated methods used by modern traffickers. The broader implications of the Tate case extend far beyond one man's alleged crimes. It has sparked conversations about the influence of social media personalities on vulnerable audiences, the role of online platforms in facilitating criminal activity, and the need for better education about the methods used by traffickers in the digital age. The case also highlights how criminal enterprises can hide behind legitimate businesses and public personas, using fame and influence to provide cover for illegal activities and to discredit victims who try to speak out. As the legal proceedings continue, more evidence continues to emerge, and the full scope of the alleged criminal operation is still being uncovered. Additional victims have come forward, financial investigations have revealed more complex money laundering schemes, and international cooperation between law enforcement agencies has expanded the investigation across multiple jurisdictions. The man who called himself the Top G and claimed to be teaching men how to achieve success and respect now faces the possibility of spending the rest of his life in prison. His empire of luxury cars and mansions has been seized by authorities. His social media influence has been largely neutralized. But perhaps the most important lesson from Andrew Tate's story isn't about one man's alleged crimes. It's about how easily manipulation can be disguised as mentorship, how criminal enterprises can hide behind legitimate businesses and inspiring messages, and how social media influence can be weaponized to normalize and spread harmful behaviors to millions of vulnerable people. The investigation continues, more victims are coming forward, and the full extent of the alleged crimes may not be known for years. But one thing is already certain. The story of Andrew Tate serves as a powerful warning about the dark side of internet fame, the real-world consequences of online influence, and the sophisticated methods that modern criminals use to exploit the trust and vulnerability of their victims.